Toni, thanks for being with us today. Firstly, could you tell us a little bit about what restb.ai does?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a technological service provider, which is highly specialized in computer vision, AI for real estate. So mainly we are supporting the different kind of portals and software industry providers on the real estate to leverage their digital assets. Okay, so in other words, like how we can extract some different features and components that might be relevant from the images.
Okay, and an obvious question, but I start it with everyone. How have the last 12 months been for your business and the industry as a whole?
I like to say interesting. Okay, so let's say that as a business, it's been not as bad as we could have been expecting. Okay, and the main reason is because right now all the different kind of software providers, portals, even the consumers are demanding like much more digitalized kind of services. And at the end of the day, what we are providing is solutions that are actually helping on that path. So let's say that we have been growing less than expected, but still on the almost 3 digits.
Okay, so you mentioned that you work with property portals. Could you give me an example of property portals that you've worked with and what you've done for them?
Yeah, so we have been working with property portals across the globe, okay, and we have been supporting them on different areas. But mainly, if we are talking about some particular examples, just like Idealista in Southern Europe, okay, we have been supporting them, especially on the content moderation piece. Okay, so by content moderation, meaning that we have been able to detect or help them, okay, on their existing processes in order to make sure that they don't have different, let's say, non-compliant components to be displayed on their websites. Okay. Just as an example, things like people faces, license plates, or even watermarks in places that shouldn't be placed, okay, in order to have the best possible experience as a consumer, okay? But also we have been providing, let's say, other kind of information in order to make sure that even the property search is much more accurate.
Okay, and why would a property portal come to you guys? Does this tend to be something that they can't do in-house, or is there a lot of risk doing it in-house?
That's a very interesting question, Ed, because that's something that we know some of our existing clients, they try to do it themselves because at the end of the day, it's technology. All these kind of guys, they have big teams and super high skilled, let's say, personnel. But at the end of the day, it's not just about building this kind of AI and technology to provide this service, it's also about maintaining it. So you need to understand that we are thinking about this all day long, okay, and we are keeping updating the models. Right now, we haven't talked about that, but we are processing more than 1 billion images every year. So that means that we have a lot of information, we have a lot of corner cases and different situations that we are seeing across the globe, that as you can imagine, that's something that if this is just another kind of feature or support that you are delivering as part of your overall product, it's very complex to be up to date or trying to replicate what we are actually doing.
Okay, you mentioned some work you've done specifically with Idealista. That's just one thing of what you guys do. You have quite a range of different products. What would you say is the most common request you get from property portals? And has it changed recently?
From property portals, we are seeing like, let's say 3 different trends. Okay, or 3 different requests, and that has been, I'm not going to say changing across the time, but mainly the first item is like how we can help them automating some processes and have the data more accurate. So I already mentioned about like photo compliance, watermark detection, or even the ability to detect like duplicate listings or even images, which is a trend that actually before, let's say, COVID, we were seeing a lot of fraud in all these platforms, especially because people were, for example, downloading images, cropping them, shifting, editing, and then uploading those listings, trying, to scam some consumers. Okay, so all these kind of things right now, we are able to automate a process to detect all these kind of things. So, and that's something that the portals are very careful because obviously, as we are seeing that 93% of the consumers right now are looking at some point on the internet to find a property, it's very important to have reliable data and making sure that the consumer has a super exciting experience. On the other hand, which is aligned with this one, is like data consistency. So something that we are able to do right now is, or that we have been providing for the last 4 years, is mainly all the ability to detect different features that you can find inside the images. So not just detect if it's a kitchen or a bathroom, but also if it has like stainless steel appliances, hardwood floors, natural light, and all this kind of information. It just checks, with the existing features that you have to fulfill as a consumer once you upload your listing into the portal, but also to use that data for the property search. Okay, so as we have been growing, let's say all the listings available on every single site, it also creates a lot of noise, okay, for the consumer. So right now you are spending more than 10 weeks, okay, trying to find your, let's say, dream home. And at the end of the day, most of the times you cannot find it because you are surrounded by a lot of noise for properties that don't match actually your needs. So with all this information contained in the images, we are allowing portals as well to be much more streamlined and even to send the right leads to the right agents. So imagine an agent receiving like 50 or 100 leads from a property. We all know that maybe just 3 or 4 are, correct leads. By correct leads, meaning like people that actually is interested in this kind of property. So with all this kind of information and metadata, we are able to make sure that the agents receive the right leads, customer can find the right properties, customer can get the right emails with the right properties that may be interesting in. So, and at the end of the day, creating a much more engagement platform, much more reliable in terms of data, and making sure that it's secure. Okay.
Yeah. So, sorry, I mean, an example of this, and you can use me as a use case if you want. My girlfriend and I are actually looking for a new place to live, and one thing that we keep struggling with is, for some reason in Spain, a lot of apartments don't have ovens, and it's really frustrating to go and look through all of these and have 10 million tabs open and then see that the apartment doesn't have an oven. So I saw researching your company the other day that you do something called thumbnail filtering, where, well, actually I'll let you explain it and talk about it, a use case maybe such as that.
In fact, Ed, to be honest with you, that's why the company was founded. So our co-founder, okay, so he was struggling to find a property, and he said, the information contained on the images doesn't match with what's inside the portal. So anyway, regarding what you were saying, okay, that's exactly the use case that I was trying to describe before. Okay, so if you are looking for a property with a kitchen island because you are a cook kind of people and you like to spend a lot of time with that, why can you not search with this kind of information? Okay, so, or with a property that has an oven, but not because someone has fulfilled, let's say, the checkbox that it has an oven, also because we are actually seeing that inside the image. So what the portals that we are working with are using that information or trying to leverage that information in order to make sure that then maybe you are just going to be able to see those kind of properties, or making sure that if you get like the email follow-up about new properties added that will contain, let's say, an oven, okay? And this is the kind of things that we are allowing or we are providing too.
Okay. Another thing that I saw when I was researching you guys, which I quite liked, is the Sherlock feature. And this brings me back to something that I've been talking with other people about, which is, I guess, a move towards personalization, which I guess you mentioned there earlier. Do you think there may come a day where we sort of look for properties in a different way, almost like maybe like a Pinterest board or something similar, where you tell an AI engine a few things about what you want, and instead of you searching for it, it will uncover properties for you, if you see what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And by the way, that's already happening. So just take a look at Pinterest, take a look at Instagram. So based on the kind of things that you are looking there, at the end of the day, you get all the recommendations based on that. So obviously in property search, like there are like different, let's say, major things that we are not going to be able to change, such as location. So, I mean, obviously, if you want to live in Barcelona and the city center, okay, that's obviously on top of everything else. But we are seeing that as some new trend, especially when you are moving to a new city. and you actually don't even know what you want. Okay, or even if you want to live in a certain area, okay, and you have seen your friends, let's say kitchen or bathroom or let's say a living space, and you love it, why not having the chance to search by those kind of criteria? And sometimes that's very difficult even to add some filters on it. So because maybe it's about the landscaping, there are like more than 1,000 features. So we are analyzing plenty of different things, but at the end of the day, what do we want is the consumer not just to find the property that has the right bathrooms, bedrooms, and the right location, also to look like what they want. Okay, so, and that not just applies to a consumer that actually wants to purchase a home ready to live. Think about an investor, or think about an appraisal when they are doing the comparables. So is it fair to compare a property, in a certain, let's say, zip code with another one that actually they have the different structure, that actually have a completely different look and feel? So that's the kind of things that we are helping companies on that space, especially iBuyers, with comparables. So in order to make sure that they compare apples to apples. Okay, so, and that's as well very important.
Okay, so you mentioned there the application of your technology with things like appraisals. So I imagine you're obviously serving the agent community as well. Obviously, there's a big adoption of technology across the spectrum at the moment. But are you seeing it maybe more with portals or more with agents? And who do you think the responsibility lies with to actually adopt the technology? Is it the portals? Is it the agents?
It's the chicken or the egg, right? So,
yeah. Sorry, it's a tough question.
That's a tough one. I mean, in my opinion, portals at the end of the day is where consumers are going, right? So portals at the end of the day, they own this kind of ability of the different traffic that lands into that. And at the end of the day, they are the first ones interested on having, let's say, the best underlying technology in order to provide the best value possible to the agents. So the way that we see it is like if you had, let's say, a good pipeline processing on capturing those leads and send it over to the right agent, okay, at the end of the day, you are making the full process better. So on the other side, most of the times where the technology, where the listing starts is at the agent side. So I think it's very important as well that once the agent is uploading, let's say, this listing online, okay, making sure that it has like all the checkboxes fulfilled, the right description, which is actually something that we do. Okay, so creating automatically the full description in different languages, making sure that you have the right pictures. So, and at the end of the day, this information is the one that would be pulled out into the portal. So, in our opinion, portals should be first, okay, obviously. But at the end of the day, who gets the benefit of that is the agents. So at the end of the day, it's the full flow who gets the clear benefit of this.
Okay. And final question from me, a deliberately open-ended question. What does the future property listing look like?
I mean, that's a very interesting one. What we are seeing, and I think that I alluded to that before, is 52% of the home buyers start right now on the internet. 93% of them look on the internet to some portals, before purchasing. So that means that we need to make sure that all this kind of listing data that you have online is not just increasing, okay? Sometimes it's even overwhelming. So the way that we see it is like customization, personalization, making sure that you are allowing customers to really find out the properties that match their criteria will not just shorten the days on market of the properties, will also feel the customers and consumer, let's say, much more engaged. At the end of the day, as a consumer, you don't want to spend maybe thousands of hours online into the portal. What you actually want is to complete the transaction. So actually having, let's say, good descriptions, good quality images, having a pure automated process to make sure that everything that you will find online, let's say, is compliant, it's not duplicated and you have the best experience possible. I think that this is something that actually makes sense. So we are not changing the fundamentals, but we need to make sure that everything that would be placed online, okay, it's easy to find for the right person, and obviously with the best quality possible.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much for talking to us today, Toni. Certainly from an end user point of view, like me, I really hope that everything that you've mentioned there comes true to make it a lot easier to find a house.
We share that vision. So thank you so much, Jed, for your time, and looking forward to keep talking with you guys.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Toni.
Thank you so much.